So, hello and welcome. Thank you all very much for joining me today for this workshop. I am Kira Daly and I am the director at Conquer Digital. I am very passionate about improving the Irish food and drink industry, and I have worked as a social media marketer since 2015. So, also joining me today to host today's call is my fantastic sidekick, Arpeta. Arpeta, you are busy, I know, letting people in, but do you want to just take a quick second to hop on and say hello to everyone?
Yeah, hello everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. We'll make the best out of it. So welcome.
Thanks. So Arpeta is looking after all things tech, letting any latecomers into the call, managing sound and video, keeping an eye on our question box. Just literally minutes before we started the call, my display screen decided to crash, so she was offering me therapy before that. So she's just a dream, and I wouldn't be able to do anything without her. So because we want to be respectful of everyone's time, for the initial part of the workshop, Arpeta has placed all of you on mute, but that does not mean that you are not welcome to ask any questions. We want to make sure anyone who needs to pop off in a hurry still gets to catch as much of the workshop as possible. And so for that reason, we'll just be saving the Q&A until the end. And even though we have your mics off, I would love to invite any of you who are comfortable in doing so to turn on your cameras. Regardless of whether you're eating your breakfast or doing something else while the workshop is playing in the background, it's just nicer for me to see your faces here on the screen. I've got two screens on the go, one for the presentation and all of you here, and it just makes it really enjoyable for me not to be looking to black screen. So only if you are comfortable turning on the camera, I would love for you to do that. With regards to the Q&A, if you need to pop off before we get to that section of the call, you can stick your questions into the chat box and Arpeta will read them out to me on your behalf at the end. We'll be sending out a replay of this call, so you'll be able to check back you'll be able to check the replay back for the answer to your question if you do need to run off. But of course, in order to send out that replay, we will be recording this call. So that's just another little bit of housekeeping. Anyone who has their camera on now, your face won't be included in the video, but for the Q&A at the end, you will be visible if you come on the screen to ask me a question. So that's just something to bear in mind. The recording is just so anyone who can't make the live session, as I said, still gets access, or anyone who wants to watch back what we covered, because we will be packing quite a lot in. They'll be able to watch back and kind of rejig their memory of what we discussed. Then again, for anyone who's not comfortable asking questions on camera, because I know some people do not enjoy that, you can pop your questions into the chat box, and again, Arpeta will read them out for you. And I'll do my best to answer them in whatever way I can. So without further ado, let's get into the workshop. So by the end of this workshop, you will know how to ditch the stress that can often come from social media. You will have more confidence in putting your best foot forward online, and you will understand how to maintain a consistent and effective social media presence without being glued to your phone. And I am going to teach you how to create and use your own content strategy, a content strategy that systematically grows your brand, sells your products and services, and cultivates a loyal community of high quality food and drink lovers. A content strategy that's going to enable you to tell a unique and consistent story. And I'm also going to show you how you can use advertising to prevent yourself becoming a slave to the algorithms. And I'll talk a little bit more about what algorithms are for anyone who is unsure later. So just a quick run through of what today's call is going to look like. I'm going to start off by taking a look into what the food industry and what the social media industry in 2023 look like, and how they affect one another. We are going to show you how to develop a content strategy. I have got a template for you that you can take everything that we cover in today's call and put it into action straight away. We are going to chat through how you actually use that template. We recently ran a giveaway where we had a prize of a support package worth over €1,000. So we will be announcing the winner to that. And then I also have some news on something we've been working on for ages and ages and ages and ages that I'm very, very excited to share with you. And then finally, we will wrap up with our Q&A, where you guys can kind of put me to the test on my work. I want to just give you a quick insight into who I am for those of you who don't know what my background is. I originally was nothing to do with business. I had grown up playing music all my life. I had studied for a degree in Irish music and dance in UL. I spent a couple of years training or working as a singer with an Irish music and dance show, traveling Europe, wearing this big green velvet gown, singing Danny Boy. And then I spent a couple of years working in Dubai as a music teacher. So totally different life. When I lived in Dubai, because I was working such short hours, I had plenty of time on my hands. And so to keep myself busy, I started a food blog. I had loved food all the way, through my youth and all through college. And it was just sort of an outlet, I suppose, for me to express that love. And then in 2015, I moved back to Ireland and found myself enrolling in what was called the Food Innovation and Entrepreneurship Certificate in what was then called GMIT, now ATU. And that was just such a magnificent and transformational experience for me. My eyes were totally opened up to how exciting the world of business is. And I started to see how all of the skills I had developed from my food blog could actually be put to use in practical terms, and actually help me work with people who I saw were really passionate about what they did. After I finished the course, though, I still had a bit of a travel bug in me. So literally about 5 days after I did my final presentation in GMIT, I was off on the plane to Australia, and I worked with a company for my first year called Cube Online, which was a digital marketing agency. I started with the company when it was in its infancy. There was 4 of us on the team. I sat beside the head of Cube Online. I stole the sweets from his desk, and now that company services 12,000 companies over Australia and New Zealand, and they've opened up an office in the UK recently. So it's just such a cool experience to know that I was there from the start. I also worked for my second year in Australia with a company called Corporate Fighter. They are a boxing event company that ran events all over Australia. And that again was a really unique and exciting and totally different experience for me. And both of those roles, like I want to speak very honestly, totally underqualified for. I had no business being in either of those roles. But I think people respected that I worked really hard and saw that I learned quickly. And to, I suppose, kind of help myself through that, I enrolled in a course called Growth Marketing, which was run by Academy XI. And that was, again, really exciting. I had all of this brilliant foundational business knowledge from the Food Innovation Entrepreneurship course, which I was able to apply in the roles I was working in. And then I was able to build on it with all of these new and revolutionary, I suppose, approaches to marketing through growth marketing. And what's cool about that course is I'm only now in the last 2 or 3 years am I see the learnings that we covered in that course coming into play in Ireland. So that's really, really cool. And then in 2019, I was back in Ireland and I finally did it. I set up my own business. It was originally called Milk Bottle Marketing, but it is now Conquer Digital and it is my baby. And I'm very, very, very proud of how far it has come. In the last 4 years, we have gone from, 1 or 2 clients that I picked up as a freelancer, and now we have worked with over 20 food and drink businesses across Ireland. This is just a taste of some of the businesses we worked with. Actually, I say across Ireland, one of our clients there you'll see is Fit Meals. They were a Dubai-based company, which was really, really exciting. I started working with them when they were at the very, very beginning, before they had even become a business. So to see the business that it has become today, again, it's just very, very cool to know that you've been a part of that. So at Conquer Digital, we are advocating for a more holistically nourished world. So when it comes to our bottom line, I like to say that profit, people, and the natural living world or the planet take up equal space. So my business vision has always been it's been hugely inspired, I suppose, by the time I've spent around the table, sharing ideas, sharing cultures, learning about, different people's backgrounds, and most importantly, enjoying really, really high quality and really delicious food. So I've experienced personally the magical ability which food has in getting people to not only listen, but to learn from one another. And it's because of these experiences that I believe that Irish food and drink leaders hold like this immense power for creating societal change, for lack of a better term. So striking that balance between environment, community, and profit is admittedly not easy at all. But I really do believe by working with businesses who share that vision, we have a much better chance of achieving a positive change. So social media, why is that my vessel of choice for kind of trying to bring about that change? Well, social media is the most accessible and it's the most tangible entry point to digital marketing for brands who are starting out or who are bootstrapping it, for lack of a better term. The food industry is notoriously difficult for small to medium businesses to turn a profit in. And social media is just, it's a must when you consider the fact that there's over 4 million people, 91% of adults using social media in Ireland for an average of 2 hours per day. And 76% of Irish people are using it to research a business before they spend their money with them. But it's not just the amount of people that are using social media that should be a draw for businesses. There's over 10,000 food and drink businesses and over 8,000 restaurants and takeaways in Ireland. And so, in order to help businesses stand out, organizations like Board Bia are emphasizing the importance for food and drink businesses to remain relevant by focusing on creating connections with their consumers, particularly in the face of the cost of living crisis. They say that delivering great tasting products and exceptional experiences is no longer enough. Businesses and food and drink leaders need to focus on creating authentic connections with the people they want to influence or the people they want to buy from them. And that's where social media comes in, because it presents this really, really great opportunity to connect with these people directly through your social media and give them an insight into the sorts of products and services or any offerings that you have for them. Now, again, I have been working in the food industry since 2009, during my college years when I was, working in music. I had to have an income, so I worked as a waitress in a bakery, a shop assistant in that bakery, sandwich maker, barista, cleaner, you name the job in that place, I did it. There was a brief stint when I moved home from Dubai and I was writing the blog, where I thought I wanted to be a chef, so I worked as a stage. And then, of course, in GMIT, during my time in GMIT, I was surrounded by all of these brilliant food and drink business owners who were already up and running. So I really understand like how busy working in the food industry keeps you. And I understand completely that when you hear people like me talking about the importance of posting to social media so that you can share your food or drink story, what you hear is just another job that you have to add to your list. So, does any of this look familiar? I would imagine it probably does, because during the pandemic, there was just this absolutely huge and insane rise in this type of content. Content which was basically just encouraging people to market like influencers with no thought or consideration for the busy schedules, or the limited time and resources that they have. And so I started to look into where all of this noise was coming from, because as the owner of an agency that was working with food and drink leaders every day, I knew how unachievable those strategies were. Like, for a start, most of the clients that I would have worked with didn't have the time or the resources to dedicate to executing these strategies like on a sustained basis. And that's even before you threw the stress of a pandemic into the mix. And for those who did, very often the input that was required to roll out those strategies just wasn't going to justify the corresponding results. And so I started to look into it, because to me, something just felt off. And I needed to know, was I just behind the times, or was there something more to it? And what I found was really really interesting. What I learned was that since 2015, the influencer market has doubled in size. It turned out that the reason there had been such a huge increase in the amount of educational content appearing on our social media feeds was because content creators were being paid to put that advice out there. Now, I just want to be clear, I'm not saying this is like a conspiracy or anything like that, but the fact is that in 2022, social media platforms were paying content creators millions of euros, literally $1 billion, to produce content in a bid to help them maintain their relevance. So more content for people to scroll means more time spent on the platform by social media users. And that ultimately means more money in the pockets of social media shareholders. And that's where you essentially cue the rise in all of that educational content, encouraging businesses to use social media platforms like influencers. So that message of marketing like a publishing house started to trickle down to the food and drink leaders who, although often time poor, started trying to execute on them. And all the while, these people were seeing little to probably no return of investment for their efforts, or they were just completely avoiding using these platforms at all. And actually, that what's even more frustrating is that after years of telling us that the only way to grow your brand online is to conform to trends and new formats like Reels, the CEO of Instagram released a series of content just like 2 weeks ago debunking his very own claims. So he had published a story with an Ask Me Anything, one of those question boxes where people asked questions like, do I need to post reels to improve my reach? And why were creator bonuses, that program that paid all of those content creators to promote all those reels, why was that program paused? And how do I improve my profile's reach? So here's what he had to say. He had to say, no, reels are not necessarily the best way for your account to boost reach. You need to observe what your audience is interested in. My eyes cannot roll back far enough. So the creator bonuses were paused because the program designed to make Instagram money was losing the money. So that's just further proof that the best way to improve your reach is not to follow all of these trends and all of these content strategies, but it is in fact to experiment with different types of content that you enjoy creating and then see what it is that your audience likes and then double down on that. Now, sadly, the sense of vindication I feel to hear people like, Adam and Zuckerberg backpedaling like this isn't enough to justify the stress that they have, like the very real stress that they have caused so many business owners in the last few years. Now, I know I'm probably coming off again as someone who just wants to give out about social media, but I promise you that's not what this workshop is about. You still can make social media work for you, and I am going to show you how, but just to kind of bring it back and show the good side. 76% of people are using social media to research a business before they buy from them. 71% of people are more likely to buy from the businesses whom they have had a positive experience on social media with. 64% of Irish small to medium-sized enterprises report that sales have come through social media, and 73% of marketers, people like me, say that social media has helped them increase sales for their businesses. So now that I've had my rant, let's come back down to earth and let's look at the practical and simple steps that food and drink leaders like all of you can take to remove what is essentially just another job on a never-ending list of things you all have to do so that you can grow your food or drink brand online, and so that you can increase your impact, and so that you can spend less time on social media and more time working on your actual passion. And in order to do that, I'm going to teach you how to take an holistic approach to social media marketing. In fact, I am going to teach you the very content strategy we use to plan for our clients at Conquer Digital, which allows us to plot out a month of social media in under an hour, so that we can not only keep the overall cost to our clients as low as possible, as lean as possible, but so that we can also help them to put their best foot forward, so that they can tell this consistent and authentic story. And as if that wasn't enough, I'm also going to give everyone who joins this call, as I mentioned, that document that you can take to put the steps that we show you today into action and develop a content strategy that is unique to your own business, to your own story, and which is going to help you to share your exciting and inspiring stories in a clear and cohesive manner, not just on social media, but throughout your business and your work as a whole. But we are obviously, for the purpose of this workshop, going to focus on the social media element. Now, before we get into the meat of it, I just want to tell you about the rule of 7. So the rule of 7 says that people need to hear a message 7 times before it registers and sticks in their brains. I'm not going to repeat that 7 times, but do come back and read it, because you need to know that. That's why it's so important to stick to your content strategy. Sticking to the rule of 7, sticking to your content strategy, that's going to help you communicate your story. What might seem obvious or mundane to many of you on this call can very often, with talking about what you do in your own business, that can very often be so fresh, so exciting, so invigorating to your audience, to people who do not exist within your business, to people who do not do what you do every day. Like, the thing I hear most commonly is, I never know what to post. But in a few minutes, you're going to see how you can eradicate that problem just by putting the proper system in place. So what is a content strategy? A content strategy is a plan that's going to enable you to create social media content that gives a 360-degree view of your food or drink offering. It allows you to speak directly to the issues, the needs, and the desires that your audience are looking for, even if they don't know that they are looking for them yet. Your content strategy is basically going to help you create organic content that allows you to build an audience that trusts, knows, and likes you. So when I say organic content, I mean anything that's unpaid, any unpaid marketing posts or videos that you put out there that have the potential to be seen, that could be naturally or organically seen by your existing customers or people who haven't found about you yet. So think of organic content as the day-to-day conversations that you have with people in your everyday life. That's what organic content is. So the first step to developing your organic content strategy is working with content pillars. And those 4 pillars are educate, entertain, inspire, and convert. Very simple, like so simple. And then what we're going to do is break those pillars down into content categories. So content categories help keep your social media content focused on the type of stories which are going to help you forge connections, while also providing social media users, your audience, with the necessary information about your products, your services, your story, your whatever it is. This is how you're going to educate them about you. How are you going to get them to know, like, and trust you? And the benefit of content categories is that they're going to help you create a varied but very consistent mix of social media content. So this is what your content categories actually look like. You have got underneath your pillar of educate, service descriptions, product spotlights, menu spotlights, frequently asked questions, business news or updates, advice on relevant topics, information pieces. In the entertain pillar, we've got behind the scenes, meet the team, social media trends and challenges, social media holidays, memes, jokes, throwbacks. You take your pick. In our inspire pillar, we have got social responsibility initiatives, thought leadership pieces, business vision, business values, recipes. It can be simple, it can be big, the choice is yours. And then in your convert, which is going to be a favorite pillar to any of the business owners on this call, is where you have your call to actions. So maybe you want people to call you, maybe you want people to order online, maybe you want people to follow, or download something that you've created or make a booking. Customer reviews, you're sharing that people have already, people are already loving what you do. You can show user generated content. Maybe you have any offers, maybe you have giveaways. All of these things fall within your convert pillar. So now I want to show you what a content strategy looks like in action. And to do that, we're going to take a look at this basic one I created for my brilliant fake business called Chi Jojo. So Chi Jojo is a welcoming haven in the beautiful Connemara region. Sounds lovely. They are uniting people through the enjoyment of fresh and wholesome food. They are a cafe, a bar, a restaurant, a garden, and an event hub all in one. So they have got a lot going on. How in the name of God do you share all of that through social media consistently? You put a strategy in place. So let's pop in here. I've got this. I'm just going to minimize this. And we have got, oh, pardon me. I need to pull up our sample business because my tech error threw me off. Okay, so here is Chi Jojo and their content strategy. So as you can see here, what we've got going on is Chi Jojo know how much they need to be consistent. So they have decided that they are going to post 5 to 7 posts per week. So minimum 5, but they're going to aim for 7. And the social media platforms that they are going to use are Facebook and Instagram. And wherever there is an opportunity to use video content, they will put that onto TikTok. But they're not going to go out of their way to create content for TikTok. They know what they need to do. The content pillars are broken down into the categories. You'll remember in the presentation that there was way more categories. Chi Jojo has picked the ones that are most relevant to them, and they've stuck them into their content strategy. So there's the business story, the menu item spotlight, and frequently asked questions. In the entertain pillar, they've got behind the scenes, meet the team, and social media holidays. In Inspire, they've got social responsibility initiatives, thought leadership pieces, business values. And then finally, for the convert pillar, they've got call to actions, customer reviews, and ongoing promotions. That's it. That is the content strategy. I'll show you in a minute how you can do that for yourself. Literally not even 2 minutes to put together. Then the next tab here that they have for themselves are their key messages. So this is a document which houses every single minor detail about your business. So something like this does take a bit of time to put together, but the beauty of it is that once it's done, and it can be shared widely throughout your business. It doesn't have to specifically be used for social media. Whenever we take a new client on at Conquer Digital as part of their social media strategy, we do a key message document. And that's where I sit down with the business owner and I rack their brain. I ask them, like it's an investigation, because so often they are so they forget how much there is to their business because it's so everyday to them. But there's so many brilliant and amazing stories that they have inside that head of theirs. So my job is to take it out and get it into this document so that me and the girls at Conquer can start telling those stories, and that if they need to send it to, if they're getting a new website done, they have all of this brilliant, information that they can tap into. There's just so many uses. If you're doing any like leaflets or brochures or anything like this, like there's so many uses to this. So yes, it takes a bit of time to put together, but the value that you get back from it is just like immense. And what you might notice here is that we have got the the key messages broken into to pillars. So we've got educate, entertain, inspire, convert, and then you've got the categories that are relevant. So Chi Jojo has only written key messages that are relevant to her. So she's got our story, she's got product, and menu items, and frequently asked questions. And that's the same case for everything. For all 4 pillars, all categories, the key messages are really, really specific, so that you're always on point with everything you're putting out in your social media, that you're always keeping it relevant, that you're always keeping it on point. And that you also, when you are trying to create your content, you're not having to think, oh, what am I going to talk about today? Like, you just look into this document and you get the answer without having to do any thinking at all. The next thing that Chi Jojo have here in their content strategy is an idea bank. So basically, any ideas that do come up along the way, they can pop in here. So we've got it split into 2 sections. You've got your time sensitive and your evergreen. So anything that's time sensitive goes into the time sensitive, and I'm not going to labor that. It's pretty self-explanatory. Then the last and the most important part is your content calendar template. So what this is where you take all of those last 3 tabs and put them into work. So how it works, this is where the planning comes in. What you're going to do, and it's so simple, what you're going to do is, we know that Jojo has 5 to 7 posts, right? That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do 5 to 7 posts per week. So let's map that out, okay? That's minimum 20 posts in the month. Excuse me. I want entertain, inspire, convert, educate, entertain, inspire, convert. That's 8. Educate, entertain, inspire, convert, right? That's 12. We're not going to go through and do all 20 because you're getting it. Like, it's just a system. You just repeat. The next thing we're going to do is go into our content strategy and grab our categories. So let's copy and paste them and let's bring them over here. So now educate. She's going to do a business story post here. Then down here, Chi Jojo is, pardon me. Down here in, this is not, okay, what was it? Business story. And then in here, we've got, what's our next one? Product or menu item. Spotlight. And then in our third, this is not working with me, is it? Oh yeah. And then in our last one, we are going in with our FAQs, okay? And then we're going to do the exact same for entertain, right? Let's do behind the scenes, because I know my copy and paste is acting up like all my technology today. Meet the team. And our last one was social media holiday, okay? So I'll show you later. Social media holiday, you can find resources. If you just Google social media holidays, you can find a calendar. I actually have a template that I will send to you. We'll put it into the template of all the social media holidays. Obviously, that needs to be date specific, but that's fine. You can move that around as needed, right? So you do that, and you do that for all 20 posts. Now, the next thing you're going to do is go into your key messages. So the first post that Chi Jojo want to share is from the educate pillar, from the our story content category. So let's pull one of these, right? So we're going to say our West of Ireland eatery. Let's grab that. Let's put it here. So our West of Ireland eatery seamlessly combines the splendour of the Connemara coast with unpretentious rustic charm, serving as a cafe, bar, restaurant, garden and event hub all in one. So that's the story that is going to tell. Behind the scenes, okay, so this is something we can't take from our key messages, but we use our imagination in this instance, and that's pretty easy to do. So let's think what's going on in the business. Okay, we need to improve, we need to increase dinner covers. So let's do something that's going to show people about how brilliant the experience of coming for dinner at Chi Jojo is. How are we going to do that? Let's showcase all of the wonderful work and effort that goes in behind the scenes to create dishes. So Let's do it behind. Let's showcase the chefs hard at work. Pre-dinner service. Sorry, my laptop is just out to get me today. And include the brilliant fresh ingredients they use each day. So that's post 2. Let's look at product as well. So you're going to go and do this for all of them. I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's pretty self-explanatory. We've got, what's our next one? Entertain. Product menu. Okay, so let's see what we've got on the menu. Freshly shucked oysters. Let's just I'm just grabbing these. That's what we're going to do there. Meet the team. We've got here, this is meet the team. Here's Jojo's story, and you're going to pop that in there. Right, and you're going to do that for each of the posts, as many of them as you can, right? And then what you're going to do is go back and look at what the caption says and see what your asset, what your video or your graphic or your photo that you want to use to go along with that social media post is going to be. And then you're going to pop that in here. So our West of Ireland eatery seamlessly combines the splendor of the Connemara coast with unpretentious blah, blah, blah. So what we want to do in this asset, what we want to do is use an image. That's what we're going to do for this one. And it's going to showcase the beautiful view from our restaurant dining area. Okay, so then we can actually go a step further with this. We can use this key message as is, like it's quite nicely written. That's another thing. If you put the effort into writing your key messages, you can just copy and paste. But let's just, for this instance, go a step further with it. And let's say, okay, we don't want to use this because we posted this like 3 weeks ago. So how can we flower it up, but still convey this exact same message? So our West of Ireland eatery seamlessly combines the splendor of Connemara coast. So let's say we're going to remove this. Wow, what a gorgeous view. We are so lucky to share with our diners, our guests here at G Jojo. It's exciting to think that our business is bringing attention to the absolute serenity of this area. Like that's absolutely bunyuk that I've just put out there. But it's just that it's just to kind of show how you can take those key messages and use them to craft ideas for your social media posts. So now we've got our thing that we're going to showcase our chefs hard at work, right? So let's put that in there. And how are we going to use this as inspiration for our post? Okay, so we are so we count ourselves to work alongside a brilliant team of chefs who care about providing a beautiful experience for our guests as much as we do. So we know that this is pre-service. We're showing what's going on in the pre-service. Every day, this brilliant team come into work smiling. They work side by side, laughing and sharing stories of their day and helping us preserve a respect for the brilliance of Irish food. So you're just kind of using all of that work you've put into creating your key messages into your content strategy and bring it over into your content planner. And then you're filling this out. And before, like, you will get the planning of it done. I said in less than an hour. You'll get that done in less than 30 minutes once you kind of get used to the flow of it. And then the more practice you have at actually filling out those captions and using those prompts for yourself, the faster you will get at that as well. So let's pop back into our presentation. So for all of you guys, that's the content strategy, and I've given you kind of like a quick look into how that works and what it looks like when it's in action. I suppose it's really important to say that the people who are having the most look on social media owe their success to a content strategy like that that's sitting behind them. Now, I'll be honest, like as I said, it's going to take you a bit of time to build that foundation for your content strategy. But once you do, you've got this document that you can use over and over again. And like I said, not just for social media, but for your business as a whole. And it's going to enable you to share your story in a consistent and authentic way, because you can do it in your style. So in the template that I'm going to share or send to all of you, there's a few little extras for what you've seen in Chi Jojo's there. And I've added them in just to help make your content planning that little bit more simple. So let's take a quick look. I should have left my thing here. Right. We've got this one here. This is for you guys. So this is the document you will get after the call, along with the replay. And it's very easy to use. This is a view only file. So when you get it, and if you want to use it for yourself, what you need to do is go in to the file, make a copy, and then the file will belong to you and you'll be able to edit it from there. You've got your content strategy, like what Chi Jojo had. So if you've got any like existing materials that you want to use, you can link them in here. To create your own frequency, you can list how many times you're going to be posting. We recommend at least 3 times per week. And then you're going to list out the social media platforms that you are going to use. And then in your content categories, again, you don't have to use all of them. You can go in and select, I would say, 2 to 3 of each of these categories here and make the content strategy your own. Otherwise, you kind of just you're laboring, like you're going to have to fill in all these key messages. So 2 or 3 is absolutely perfect, and you're still going to have a huge variety of messaging going out on your social media platform. This is the document where you can fill in your FAQs. You can fill in all of your key messages. This is your idea bank. Fine. This is your secret weapon. This is my treat to all of you on this call. This is a list of 30 content prompts. So what you've got is a suggestion of what you can do, just to make it even easier for you, a suggestion of what you can do, or like how you can start your social media post. And you'll notice that each of these prompts are linked to a content pillar and a content category. So you can still use that system to plan. And then there's also some examples, so you can have a look at them. And then it's just a little bit of notes. So that is a freebie for you guys as well. And then you've got your content calendar. I would recommend that you duplicate that before you start clearing it. Otherwise, then you're going to have to clean it every time you want to use it. So that is your free content strategy template. Now I want to show you how you are going to put that content strategy to work. So when it comes to the publication of your content, you either need a really good memory or you need a social media scheduling tool. And I personally would recommend the latter. You can save time by scheduling your content through one of these scheduling tools. There are more, but these are kind of the 3 that I would recommend looking into. Social Pilot is the software we use at Conquer Digital. We have an agency plan, but you can get a lower plan that starts at €30 a month. Later is another tool that you can use. Or you can schedule, if you are only using Facebook and Instagram, you can schedule using Meta for Business or Facebook for Business. they're the same thing. They're just having an identity crisis at the moment over at Facebook, but that's free to use. You can save time by, once your content calendar is all written out and you've got all your images selected, you can save time by delegating your scheduling to someone, or you can use a VA online. So Fiverr and Upwork are great resources for this. Then the final thing that you were going to do to save yourself sweat and energy is to use a small advertising budget. So you're going to promote your posts through Meta Business Manager. So this is specifically relating to Facebook and Instagram, because they are probably the most applicable to food and drink people in the food and drink industry, I would say. So the reason that you need social media advertising, I mean, some of you might be thinking, isn't it free? And the answer to that is yes, but also no. You can use social media for free, but then you are at the risk of the social media algorithms. So a social media algorithm is a compilation of rules and data that make decisions about what users want to see on the platform. So the truth is that social media marketing really has become a pay-to-play game. But thankfully, once you actually know how to play it, it can be relatively easy to win at. So you have that choice. You can either spend hours playing the guessing game, creating endless batches of content, trying to win the favor of the algorithm. You can try to compete with more than 300 million photos uploaded to Facebook per day, the 95 million photos and videos, and 100 million stories shared to Instagram per day. Figures for TikTok aren't actually available, but you can take a guess based on the growth of that company that it's at least 3 or 4 times those figures. So you can play that game, or you can skip all of that by following our tried and tested recipe for social media success, by using a content strategy that's going to help you tell that authentic story in a consistent way, and by just supporting it with a small advertising budget. Now, for the purpose of this workshop, we don't have time, unfortunately, to delve into the ins and outs of Facebook advertising, but some of my tips to help you get started are definitely set yourself a budget. Small to medium businesses should be allocating, anywhere in the region of 10 to 20% of your overall marketing budget to social media advertising. But if you're someone who just thinks it's out of your league, €50, €150 to €50 to €150, that's a really good place for you to start. And particularly if you are a brick and mortar business, that's a really great budget. So my second tip, that would be to avoid boosting posts natively through Facebook or Instagram, and to start using Facebook Business Manager or Meta Ads Manager. They're the one and the same thing. Facebook is a social networking platform. You've got your Facebook profile and you use it for like personal communication. On the other hand, Facebook Business Manager, that offers all these additional features. You can manage multiple pages, you can set up an ad account, you can access reports and analytics, and it's just generally a much more powerful and comprehensive tool for anyone using a Facebook and Instagram presence to manage them through. And you can set up an account for free. You just search for Facebook Business Manager and you follow the steps that are outlined there. And then once you've got your account set up, you just use your ads manager and start promoting your posts from there. There's 3 objectives. If you're not familiar, this mightn't make sense, but if you are, the 3 objectives I would advise you to look into are brand awareness, engagement, and, well, actually 4, either traffic or conversions, depending on the nature of your business. Yeah, okay, so I just want to make sure I've covered before we do our recap, but I think we have. So yeah, before we do our recap, I suppose I just want to remind you that a lot of what we've covered on this call, there's a lot packed into it. So there's really no need to worry if you don't feel like you've taken it in, because we are sending the replay. I've gone through things very quickly just because I want to fit as much in as possible, and I just want to try and add as much value as possible. So if you do feel like you you need to go back and take it all in, you absolutely can. You're going to have this replay in 24 hours. You're going to have your content master template, so you can start putting all of that advice into action. And yeah, I'm really excited to see that happen. So anyway, I've given you an insight into the system that's going to help you conquer your social, and show you how to align your content strategy to your business goals and improve performance. I've shared with you a really easy approach to help you make your storytelling paint this 360 view of how brilliant your business is. And I have given you a taste of how you can lean into those algorithm proof tactics and, get higher results for lower effort. I really wish that I could show you more, but it's a short time we have together, so that's just not possible. But there is a way that I can give you all of the information you need to start, managing your social media presence like a pro. And that's through this unique social media program that I have developed called Conquer Your Social. So before I share an overview of what that program involves, I just want to share with you a really exciting the announcement of who is the winner of our giveaway, and who is going to be taking part in that upcoming program. And that is Siobhan from St. Tola's Cheese. So gorgeous word to Siobhan and the team at St. Tola's. I'm really looking forward to having them on board for the 2023 Conquer Your Social intake. So yeah, the reason that I ran that giveaway, and the reason I decided to run this workshop, in fact, was because I recently had the pleasure of speaking at an International Women's Day event, hosted by Sally McKenna and Jacinta Dalton at GMIT at ATU. And it was celebrating the women in the Irish food industry. I was part of the Mind Your Business panel, where, as the social media expert in the room, I touched on some of what we've spoken here today. And I was really moved by the reaction to what it is that I shared. Like, I don't think I had previously fully realized just how many people avoid using social media because they feel it negatively impacts their personal view of themselves, or how it impacts their view of how well they're doing their job or running their business. And I don't know why, because it's a challenge that I've had to work hard to overcome myself, particularly during the pandemic, during the time, we were seeing everyone pivot. And in the meantime, I was sitting at home and I'd lost all my clients. At the start, all my clients, all my 3 clients were restaurants and bars who had to close their doors. And I was in my first year and I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this at all. And I was seeing, again, I was seeing everyone online pivoting. But the reality of it was that, at the time, the odds were just stacked against me. People didn't know what was going on. The last thing they wanted to do was invest in marketing. So the situation was just totally and completely out of my control. And while the pandemic has passed, we now have the cost of living crisis, staring down the line at us. And so I feel like that sense of, is it me or is it just the situation we are in is still alive, and alive and well, unfortunately. And that worries me because I really love the food industry. There's such a unique integrity and respect that exists amongst the really brilliant people who care about it. There's amazing products and experiences that are created by these people. And I really think they have such a powerful potential to bring people together, whether that be in terms of celebration or commiseration or just, in general desire for connection. And I really want to see that protected. 68.5% of people in Ireland say that they want sustainably produced food, but actually only a third are willing to pay more for it. So clearly there's this huge education gap causing a really big issue for people in the food and drink industry who are doing their absolute best to stay committed to producing these high quality food and drink products and experiences. 7 out of 10 Irish SMEs say that they fear closure in 2023 because of the rising costs of doing business. So there is a lot of work to be done, and we need to do it together. Like, I think that collectively we need to share more stories which encourage suppliers and consumers to opt for more sustainably grown and organic products and ingredients, and hopefully by that lead a move away from the nutrient poor ones, which are negatively impact our ecosystem. We need to teach our peers that building values into business models that keep food affordable means that people have access to high quality food, high quality and nutritious food that's going to impact their day-to-day life. And then that, the benefit of that collective commitment to using higher quality ingredients would lead to an increase in demand, hopefully, which then puts more money into the pockets of the people telling those stories, actually doing the work. People like all of you on this call. And that influx of finance towards your business makes these high quality food production methods more maintainable. Not today, not tomorrow, but if we put the work in, it can happen. I am not saying that social media is the be all and end all to solving that solving that problem, but it is a tool that we can use to our advantage. I'm also not saying that you need to start using it to start making these big grand statements about how people need to care more about our food system. People won't listen to that. I've tried, but you can develop a content strategy that subtly communicates that for you. What you might think is common knowledge might be something really, really unique and inspiring and interesting to somebody else. You might think, I don't know enough to start telling people that things need to change. But I guarantee you, from every single conversation I've had with any client I've ever worked with, you have more knowledge than you realize or give yourself credit for, which is exactly why I love this industry so much, and is exactly why I developed Conquer Your Social. I wanted to be the ultimate social media marketing program for leaders in the food and drink industry. And so that program is going to start on the 9th of May. So I have designed this unique program specifically, as I said, for food and drink leaders who want to make sales for their food or drink business, who want to connect with an audience that will fall in love with what they do, and who want to cut their social media marketing to-do list in half. It's absolutely perfect for you if you are ready to stop wasting time trying to keep up with all of those algorithm updates or learning all of these endless Instagram hacks. If you want to move away from posting content that just doesn't feel like the right fit for you, like those dancing trends or anything like that. Some people love them, but I know a lot of people in the food and drink industry don't. And it's perfect if you want to feel confident about rolling out a marketing plan that is going to help you drive a solid return. So if this sounds like you, then Conquer Your Social is your playbook. Investing in a powerful strategy and doing your part to bridge that education gap around the importance of supporting high quality food and drink products protects your profit. And an algorithm proof content strategy and systemized approach to managing your social media presence protects your peace. And that is exactly what Conquer Your Social is designed to do. It's full of practical tools, even more comprehensive trainings than the one we've just done today, and other detailed resources that are going to help you ditch the stress that often comes from social media marketing. The purpose of this one-of-a-kind program is to lighten your load while enabling you to become more confident about managing the online presence for your food or drink passion. So this is the program overview for you. I like to say that Conquer Your Social is an extremely valuable recipe for success. Over the course of the program, you're going to master the most effective tools and strategies used by professional marketing teams like the one at Conquer Digital, through practical step-by-step advice, and also uncover how these approaches can be applied specifically to the food and drink industry. So what we'll be covering is sharing your story to inspire positive change, conquering your content, the secret recipe to delicious content creation, save your sanity, my favorite, by skirting the algorithm, and then what I think is super important, conquer your time management. I mean, this is the social media management program, but it's also so much more. I've taken, so much and packed as much value into it as I can. And just like today, each of those sessions will provide you with the clear and simple steps that you need to put your new learnings into action. And every session will include a Q&A at the end with a replay available to anyone who can't make the live sessions or who wants to recap anything that we cover. And because I know how little time you have when you work within the food and drink industry and how hard it is to prioritize tasks, in order to help ensure your success, when you sign up to Conquer Your Social, you'll also receive access to our accountability calls. So these sessions are exclusive to Conquer Your Social participants, and they're an opportunity for you to block off an hour and put the learnings from the program into action, while I'll be there live on the call for you to avail of my guidance and support. So just to be clear, those accountability calls are additional to your weekly Q&As. I really think, just before we go into this, I really think that accountability piece is important and probably what makes Conquer Your Social quite unique, because I know how hard it is to juggle it all. Like, I myself am a small business owner. I have a small but mighty team to rely on. But at the beginning, I was doing it all on my own. And the only reason my business is here today is because of the support I have sought and received from various mentors, other experienced business owners. I mean, some of you are here on this call. And, training programs that I have invested in along the way. So if there is anything I have learned from making sure my business survived the pandemic, it's that backing yourself, even when uncertainty looms, matters. It's that when you believe that you've got something that can genuinely improve someone else's day, even if it's just as simple as putting a smile on their face, you need to get it to them. There's so much negativity around us. And I really, really believe in the power of high quality food and drink products and experiences to help us connect with one another, with ourselves, and with our natural environment. And my God, do we need more of those connections? So Conquer Your Social, as I said, it was born out of the last crisis, but now it's here to help you thrive through the biggest one the food industry is facing yet. So on top of the really valuable and practical program I've just talked you through, and on top of the accountability calls, I've also got 3 lovely bonuses for you. Now, there's a tactic in marketing where you put a time limit on bonuses like this to create a sense of urgency and push people into buying your products and services. But I don't want to do that. We're in a cost of living crisis. It's hard enough to make a buck as it is in the food industry. So I'm making these bonuses available to anyone who signs up before we close our doors next Friday. No ifs or buts. If you sign up, you get them. So the first bonus builds on my love for accountability. You'll see a theme here. And it comes in the form of, an Asana board, and that's going to help you map out the tasks you need to focus on to put your learnings into use. Basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Asana is a task management tool. It's so easy to use. It's a lifesaver. And I mentioned earlier that every session we run will have action points for you. So we're going to go a step further than just giving you action points through Asana. We're going to map out the steps you need to follow in order of how you need to follow them to get them done, so you can keep up to date. And we'll also be using it as a way to track your progress and make time throughout the program to acknowledge that progress and remind you of it, because I think that's really important. I think you really, really have to make an effort to celebrate those wins. Then you've got a done for you customizable social media calendar with over 100 customizable posts. So, in the freebie that you got, we've got more than, I think it's like 130 of them. So you've got like a year's worth of content, basically. And that's basically just to help take the thinking out of creating content for you. I'm trying to turn you into a vegetable, no thinking about social media. And then finally, when the program is over, you are going to have an opportunity to come on a call with myself. And I will give you personalized feedback and advice about your social media presence. So lots and lots and lots of value. Our upcoming intake is in May. I am so privileged to have worked with, some of the leading food and drink businesses across Ireland. So I really, really know what it takes to succeed. And Conquer Your Social is going to provide access to all of that experience in delivering campaigns and growth strategies. And I'm just really excited to share that expertise, particularly with anyone who is operating on a lean budget but who is still looking to share their story or take their business to the next level. Pardon me, where are we? My finger keeps slipping. So other agencies of our caliber would usually charge a couple of grand minimum for this type of training service, but I really want to make this accessible as possible because I really care about this industry, and that's why we're not only keeping our prices low, but actually we're also offering an extra 30% off our May intake for anyone who might be, feeling that squeeze. We want to make it a little bit easier. The value of this is over €1,000. So I really am just trying to put as much effort into making it as affordable and as accessible as possible. But I do want to stress that there just is no program like Conquer Your Social out there. This is designed specifically with food and drink leaders, like all of you on this call in mind. And it, encompasses a lot more than just social media. So the details. The scheduled start date is Tuesday, the 9th of May. Just like today, it will take place over a live call, and a recording will be provided for anyone who can't make it along or who wants to recap on what we covered. You'll also receive weekly workbooks to put your learnings into action. It's important to say that you have lifetime access to these recordings. There's going to be so much value packed into this program. It's basically 8 years of my learnings packed into 6 weeks. So it's the sort of thing I want people to return to time and time again. Doors to Conquer Your Social officially open tomorrow at 8 a.m. But we're giving anyone who has logged on for this early for this call early bird access. So you'll receive that link this afternoon before anyone else. And again, as I said earlier, applications close on Friday, the 28th of April. So you have 8 days to head to our website and sign up. Similarly, I have opened up my calendar for anyone who's interested in signing up, but just wants to make sure that it's the right fit for them. You are more than welcome to book in for one of those. That link will also be included in today's email. And from my years, I suppose it's important to say that from my years working in the industry, I know really clearly in my mind who this program is for. So while there is tons of value in it, I'll be really, I'll be able to tell you quite quickly if it's for you or not. And if it's not, I'll more than likely be able to point you in the direction of what it is you need to go and do instead. So please do avail of that call option. We can set up a video, we can set up a phone call, and it's totally confidential. And finally, like I said, I know that people are feeling the squeeze at the moment. And although we are coming into summer season, hopefully it picks up. But hopefully, even without the help of Conquer Your Social, that starts to change. But I know what it's like to really want to invest in something that I know is going to benefit me ultimately, but also be really worried about where that next paycheck is coming from, whether that's a logical worry or not. So if you are in need, I do have a couple of payment options available where you can split it into two. It's not on the website, but again, we can set up a call and talk through the options if that's something that you need. So we're going to get to our Q&A. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you've all survived. I would love to invite for this section anyone who is comfortable in doing so to turn on your camera and join the conversation. This, like I said, this is my first time running a free workshop like this, so it was quite nerve-wracking, especially when all my technology started crashing before the call. But I'm really excited to see what your responses are. So yeah, with that, let's get in to our Q&A, and let's see what kind of burning questions any of you guys might have. You're more than welcome as well. What I might do just to kind of break the ice a little bit is, Arpita, do we have any questions that have come in there that you might want to put to me, and we can start with that before we get into no question.
We don't have good questions.
Okay. So does anybody on the call have any questions that they would like to ask?
Ciara, I just want to hop in and say thank you so much. That was a brilliant session and it was so insightful. And you are just an absolute breath of fresh air. So credit to anyone that gets to work with you.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice.
I know you mean it. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay, brilliant. So is there any questions? If not, we can end there. That's no problem. Brilliant. Thank you, Fallon. Thank you. Okay, all right, I'm going to leave it there. But before I do, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who joined this call. It's just actually been so brilliant to see the response to this. And I really do hope that people get value from this workshop and start putting it into action. I also want to say a huge thank you to Arpita. Arpita has worked with me for the last 2 years, and there's not a day that goes by that I do not thank her for her existence. But particularly today in the last few weeks, she's really been brilliant. So that's it. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and I look forward to speaking with you over the coming days. Yeah, cool. Thanks, everyone.